Hello, everybody. Welcome to Game 3 of the second semifinal in the Demolition League 2015. Mets in Seattle. The series has shifted to Seattle after the first two were in New York. Both teams split the first two games. Mets winning Game 1 and Seattle winning Game 2. Now we're at Game 3, pivotal Game 3 in a 5-game series. Game 3 always very pivotal to give that one team a 2-1 advantage and really put the pressure on the team that's down. Pitching matchup for today's game: Bartolo Colon for the Mets and Hisashi Iwakuma for the Mariners. Game 4 will pit Noah Syndergaard for the Mets against left-hander for Seattle. I first thought it was going to be Jay Happ, but that was a mistake because I forgot Jay Happ got traded to Pittsburgh at the end of the year, so he's not on the roster. So it is, in fact, going to be James Paxton who will get to start. Lefty James Paxton will be facing Noah Syndergaard in Game 4. And if it goes to a Game 5, then it'll be back to Felix Hernandez and Jacob deGrom back in New York. Got the dice. Hopefully the best I could do for the Mariners colors, the blue, white, and the green. Hisashi Iwakuma finishing up those warm-up tosses. There's your lineup for both teams. The DH is in effect because the American League is the home team. So Michael Kadire will get the call to DH for the Mets in this one. Benches and bullpens are there. In theory, it was a travel day between Series 2 and 3 to get from New York to Seattle. So all bullpen, even though the Mets had to use a lot of their bullpen in Game 2, they've all had a day off to rest. So everybody is available. Curtis Granderson will lead things off for the Mets against Iwakuma. And Game 3, with the series tied at 1 apiece, is now underway. It's a 6-4 against the lefty. That is a ground ball shortstop X. That is Brad Miller. He is a 3 rated shortstop in the advanced game. 3 and a 17 should be good to go. We'll double check it just to be on the safe side. And it is. It's a ground ball B, which with nobody on base, that's certainly good enough. So the ball game starts with a ground ball to short, 1 away. And that will send up Daniel Murphy for the Mets. We get a 5-7, and that's a strikeout. So Daniel Murphy out on strikes, out number 2. And that's going to bring up Mr. Conforto. So 3 left-handers to start the game for the Mets, but it hasn't seemed to affect Iwakuma just yet. It's a 3-9, and that's a fly to left to end the inning. So 1-2-3 inning for Iwakuma. Takes care of the Mets in order. And we go to the bottom of the first. It is the Mets nothing and the Mariners coming to bat. And Bartolo Colon, the big guy, is on the mound for the Mets. And he'll be facing Austin Action Jackson to lead things off. Bottom of the first, it's a 5-7. And that's going to be a 1-9 single, but that's a 13, so it's actually a line out right to Murphy. And there's 1 away. As Jackson is retired, brings up the left fielder, Seth Smith. 2-5 for Smith, and that's a walk. First base runner for either side. Comes with a 1-out Seth Smith walk. He is an E-stealer. He will not be held on. And Robbie Cano steps to the plate. So since he's not being held on, the plus signs for these ground balls will not come into effect. Colon 2-6, and that's another walk. So back-to-back walks by Bartolo Colon. And just like that, the Mariners are threatening in the bottom of the first. With the big guy, Nelson Cruz, coming to the plate. Don't want to see him with people on base if you are the Mets. He is a double play candidate, but he's also a home run candidate, so have to be cognizant of that. 110, but Bartolo Colon was not very cognizant. Kaboom! That is gone. Nelson Cruz, a 3-run blast. Earl Weaver special, the 3-run homer. And the Mariners grab a 3-0 lead here in the first. course, if you remember game 2, it was a slugfest. So even though Seattle got out in front, or I'm sorry, even though the Mets were actually in front there for a little bit, the Mariners came back and won it. So don't think 3-0. It's probably not going to stand. It's probably going to be more runs scored than that. So, but Colon has to shake that off. And now he's dealing with Kyle Seager. 6-3 to a lefty is a ground ball first base, and Duda will take it to the bag himself for 2 away. 2 down, and that's going to send it to first baseman Logan Morrison. That's a 4-3, and that is a home run chance on a 1-10, but that's a 14, so he's just going to fly it to right to end the inning. But damage done on the 3-run homer by Cruz. At the end of 1, it is the Mariners 3 and the Mets nothing. But the Mets do have 8 innings to regroup. That's the good news, bad news part of this, is they do have time. Facing Iwakuma will be Yoenis Cespedes to lead things off. 4-4 against a righty. He's a fly ball center field X. That's Austin Jackson. And Jackson is a 3. 3 and a 5. Let's see if he can get to that. For a center fielder, a 3 with a 5 is a single. So how about that? It will drop in for a hit for Yoenis Cespedes, as Jackson was not able to get that. Cespedes is a C stealer, so they will have to hold him on, which does bring the pluses into effect, especially 3-2 and 3-8 as I'm looking at them. So 3-2 and 3-8 are in play. That will turn those ground outs into base hits. Or it's a 5-3, which is a ground ball first base X. That is Logan Morrison. He is a 3. And that's a 13. Probably an error check. And it is. Morrison's error rating is an E5. E5 and a 7 for a first baseman. E5 and a 7. E5 and a 7 is a ground ball A. 5-10. 5-10 is a ground ball A, so the 7 fits. It's a ground ball A, which is a 3-6-3 double play. Just what the doctor ordered. If you are Seattle, 3-6-3 double play. Clears the bases. 2 down for the designated hitter, Michael Kadire. That's a 3-9, and he's going to ground it to short. Miller is there, and the inning's over. So the leadoff single comes to no fruition for the Mets. And we go to the bottom of the second. Still 3-0 favor of the Mariners. And the designated hitter, Mark Trumbo, will lead things off for the Mariners, followed by Miller and Zunino, bottom third of the order. 3-5, and that's a solid single for Mr. Mark Trumbo. He does not run well at all, so he will not be held. But Colon in trouble again. And this will send up Brad Miller. 3-7 for Miller, struck him out. Big strikeout there for Colon. Now a double play would get him out of the inning, and he's going to be facing the number 9 hitter, Mike Zunino. Zunino, not much of a double play candidate, but does strike out a lot. 6-8, and a 6-8 is a pop out to short. He does that too. Pop out to short. That was off the pitcher's card, obviously. So Zunino had no say in that, but he will pop to short for out number 2. Flips it back over to Austin Jackson with the slow running Trumbo still at first base. 4-3 against a right-hander. That is a straight-up home run. He has weak power, though, so it will not be a home run. It will be a single 2 stars automatically. So Colon got a break there and did not give up the home run. He does give up the big single. Puts runners at the corners with 2 down for Seth Smith. And now you wonder if the Met bullpen might start to get loose again. Cologne 2-3, and that's a solid single by Seth Smith. And that will give the Mets a 4-0 lead. All this with 2 outs. It is a 4-0 lead. Jackson will stop at second base with the ball hit to left field. He's already in scoring position. No use taking any chances. They're up 4-0. And that brings up Robbie Cano. Now the Mets bullpen. Sean Gilmartin is loosening in the pen, the lefty. Cologne's 4-7 against a left-hander. 1-5 is a single, but that's a 13. He's going to line it to Duda to end the inning. So he minimizes the damage to a run. But now it's 4-0. So Mets on shaky ground through 2 innings. They haven't even gotten through the order once yet, and the Mariners already have guys batting twice. So we go to the top of the third. Iwakuma with a 4-run lead will be facing the bottom portion of the order. d'Arnaud, Flores, and Kelly Johnson. 1-6 for d'Arnaud. He flies to center field, and that's 1 away. So d'Arnaud retired. Brings up Wilmer Flores, shortstop. That is a 4-4, and that's a fly ball center field. Exits Austin Jackson. He is a 3. 3 and a 3 is probably going to be a base hit. Let's take a look. 3 and a 3 is a single. So Wilmer Flores with the base hit. He's an E-stealer. He will not be held. And that'll bring up Kelly Johnson, third baseman. 4-10, and that is a fly ball to right field, 2 down, as Nelson Cruz puts it away. There were DHing Cruz earlier in the season, but then when they picked up Trumbo, they figured Cruz is a decent enough outfielder, and to get Trumbo's bat in the lineup, they went ahead and made him the DH. And now, back to the top of the order for Curtis Granderson. Granderson grounded to short his first trip. That's a 4-5, and that's a ground ball to second. Would have been a double play, but it's simply going to be a 4-6 fielder's choice to end the inning. We go to the bottom of the third. Still 4-0 favor of the Mariners. And you wonder now, how long can you go with Bartolo Colon the way he's pitching? Mariners do have Cano, Cruz, Seager, Trump, and Morrison. 3 out of the next 4 are left-handed. And you know what? They're going to pull Colon. He just doesn't seem to have it, so they're not going to wait around and let him give up any more runs. They're going to their bullpen, which is pretty decent. And they're going to go to Sean Gilmartin. 3-2 with a 2.67 ERA in real life. He's done very well in the Demolition League, so Gilmartin is on to face Cano, Cruz, and Seager, followed by Morrison. 3 out of the next 4 are left-handed. So Colon's only going to go 2 innings and give up 4 runs, all earned. He'll be saddled with a loss unless the Mets can at least tie the game at some point. 4-9 for Gilmartin against Cano is a double to center field, so that didn't seem to help either. Cano hits a leadoff double off of Gilmartin. It could be going from bad to worse for the Mets. And with Houston leading Cleveland 2-1, if the Mariners take a 2-1 lead, you'd have the lower seeds leading both series. Cano not being held on second base. There's Nelson Cruz. Got a 4-6, and that is a strikeout, and a huge one for Gilmartin, as he gets Nelson Cruz for out number 1. Brings up Logan Morrison, first baseman. I mean, Seager's the one that struck out. My bad. Why did I pick up Morrison? Why did I pick Seager there again? It should have been Morrison. I'll get it straight in a minute. Or should have been, no, Cano was the last one. Okay, I had it backwards. Cano was the last one that did that, so. All right, now we're straight, I think. 5-8, and that's a ground ball second base A. That'll get the runner to third, but now there are 2 outs. Hope I did. I got a feeling something went wrong there, but I can't go back and redo it because I don't know what happened. So I'm gonna have to let it go as is. I know the chance of rigged will be coming out, but hey, Seattle's already leading 4-0, so rig that. Here's Gil Martin to Trumbo, 2-10, and that's a ground ball second base C, and the inning's over. So it worked out where it didn't affect the game because Seattle did not score. So my little screw up there wasn't critical. I'll make sure Miller is the next one to lead off the bottom of the 4th, so we'll get that right. Gil Martin is a multiple inning reliever, so they're going to let him pitch another inning. Of course, that means he will be unavailable in game 4, most likely. If he goes 2 innings, it's going to be hard to bring him back on such short rest. You have to penalize him somehow or another. All right, coming up in the top of the 4th for the Mets, it'll be Murphy, Conforto, and Cespedes due up against Iwakuma. I haven't figured out Iwakuma yet. He's given up 2 singles, and that's been about it. 2-8, and that's a line out right to the first baseman Morrison, 1 away. No Mets runner has gotten past first base. Here's Conforto. 2-4 for Conforto, and that's a ground ball back to the pitcher Iwakuma. 2 down. 2 up and 2 down, and Iwakuma seems to be just kind of cruising along here. Mets going to have to do something to shake him up. Here's Cespedes. Maybe a Cespedes home run could shake him up a bit. We'll see. 2-10, and that's exactly what we get. Right on cue. Kaboom! Yoenis Cespedes cranks a solo home run. That's the bad part for the Mets, is it's a solo shot. So only 1 run associated with it, but it does get him on the board and cuts the lead to 4-1. Sometimes the hardest run to get is that first one. So they got the goose egg off the board. See if that opens the floodgates. Although there are 2 outs. Here's Duda. 3-8 for Duda, and he grounds the second to end the inning. But the Mets do break through on the scoreboard with the home run from Cespedes. And we go to the bottom of the 4th. It is now 4-1 in favor of Seattle. And Gil Martin will come out and pitch the bottom of the 4th. Like I said, probably will not be available except in case of emergency in game 4. But they need him now. So they're not worried about game 4 right now. They're worried about this game. And they're facing Miller and Zunino, followed by Jackson. 6-10 for Gil Martin. Let me check his injury. I don't think 6-10 is an injury for Gil Martin, but I will double check it. 6-10 is the injury for Iwakuma. But Gil Martin, let's see what he's got for the Mets. Gil Martin is a 6-12, so he needs a 6-12 for an error. So 6-10 is fine. And a 6-10 is a fly out to center field, 1 away. So 1 down. And that will set up the number 9 hitter, Mike Zunino. Oh, there's a 6-10. I just talked about his injury, and there it is. We just hit it. 6-10. We just hit the injury mark on the 6-10. Now, if he's injured for more than 1 game, then the Mets will be allowed to bring another reliever in on the roster to fill his spot, so they won't be shorthanded. So first things first, we'll take care of the at-bat. 6-10 is a fly to left for out number 2. So that part is taken care of. Now we need to check and see if he's actually going to miss time. So we go to our injury chart for pitchers. 1 through 6 on the D20, and he'll stay in the game. Anything else, he's got to come out. It's a 1. He's going to stay in the game. So Gil Martin fought it off and does not have to leave. So with 2 outs, we're back to the top of the order in Action Jackson. But probably his last inning anyway, or last batter anyway, because He'll be at his 2-inning mark at that point. 4-9 against a right-hander. 4-9. 1-7's a triple. 8-20's a double. That's a 13. So Action Jackson with a 2-out double. And he's now 2 for 3, singled and doubled. And that'll send up the lefty Seth Smith. And this will be the last, probably, well, Cano's up next as well. So I think they want to keep Gil Martin in there against at least up to Cano. And if Cruz comes up, then they'll take him out. 6-10 again, another injury check for Gil Martin. They may not have any choice but take him out. We'll see. I don't know if it's a rule that if you hit the injury check twice in one inning, whether you take him out automatically or not. I don't know, but we'll play it out. 6-10, though, is a fly to left field, or fly to center field, actually, and that's going to end the inning. So even if he's going to be injured for the rest of the game, it wouldn't matter because he would come out anyway just due to fatigue, but it could affect the rest of the series. So we got to roll and see if he's going to miss any games the rest of the series. So second consecutive injury check. I don't think I've ever had that before. So we'll check it again. He's hoping for a low number on the D20. It's an 8, which means he's going to miss 2 games. So he will miss, well, he's going to have to miss game 4 anyway because of, or 2 days, I should say, is what's on there. So basically, he would be available in game 5 if it got to that, because there would be a day off for travel. Be tomorrow's game and the day off for travel. So by game 5, he would be available. So he will not be available in game 4. And technically, since he's injured, the Mets will be allowed to bring on another relief pitcher to fill his roster spot for game 4. Just in case he can't come back for game 5. They want to have another pitcher out there. Question is, who do they bring in? And it looks like, well, I have to check and see who's still on the roster, to be honest with you. They do have, well, Matz is only a starter. So the possible choices are Logan Verrett, Eric Goodell, let's see, Bobby Parnell is not very good, Dylan G is not very good, and Jonathan Neese, who's not very good. Actually, Jonathan Neese might. He's got relief ratings. 9-10, but a 4.13 ERA, so they could bring on Jonathan Neese, but we'll figure that out. I'll have to see who was still in the Mets and who got traded and all that stuff, so I have to figure all that stuff out so I don't use anybody that's not actually on the roster. All right, so we go to the top of the 5th, and Iwakuma back out. He'll be facing Kadir Darno and Wilmer Flores. 2-3 for Kadir, and he's hit by pitch plus injury, so now we got another injury check. Or is this, talk about demolition league, this is getting to be a demolition. He's hit by the pitch. Now the question is, can he stay in the game? Back to our injury chart. Stay in the game is going to be a 1 through 4. If he gets a 5 or 6, he just misses the remainder of this game. 7 or higher, he's going to miss at least 1 game, if not more. That is a 12. He's going to miss 3 games, so Kadir is going to be out for the rest of this series. If they make it to the finals, he can come back, but the Mets will have to make another move to replace him on the roster. And let's, I don't know off the top of my head who they might be using on that, but go to their minor leagues or whatever and see who they've got. They've got Eric Campbell, Kirk Neuenice, John Mayberry. Like I said, not a whole lot of great possibilities here, but we'll figure it out. But Kadir is no longer available the rest of the series. He is a DH in this game, so we need a pinch runner for him. So let's see who's going to be the DH going forward. Kadir is out, and it looks like Uribe is going to be the DH going forward. So Jose Uribe will be the DH, and he will bat in that number 6 position. On Uribe. So Uribe is aboard at first base to lead off the inning. And he will stay in the game to DH going forward. Due up now, it is Travis d'Arnaud. Uribe, no threat to run, so they will not be holding him on. 6-5, and that is a ground ball shortstop X. That's Miller. Miller is a rating at short of 3. 3 and a 7. See if that sneaks through or not. 3 and a 7 at shortstop. 3 and a 7 is a ground ball B, so they get the fielder's choice. d'Arnaud will reach. So it's a 6-4 fielder's choice. d'Arnaud, no threat to run either, so he will not be held. Double play still in order for Wilmer Flores. 1-8, and that's a line out to third, snagged by Seager. d'Arnaud gets back in time, does not get doubled off, but now there's 2 away, and we're down to Kelly Johnson. .411 against a lefty. That's a single to center field. And with Austin Jackson's got a 0 arm. There were 2 outs. They were not holding. d'Arnaud. Runs at 11. Not holding makes him a 12. 2 outs makes him a 14. 0 arm. But you're down 4-1. I don't think you send him here. I think you see if Granderson can do something. He's in scoring position already, so you don't want to make that final out at third base, not when you're down by 3 runs. So they're going to play it safe. Runners at first and second with 2 down. Tying run at the plate and Curtis Granderson. 5-2, and that's a fly to right to end the inning. Boy, if super advanced would have been a home run check, but this is advanced, so it's just a fly to right to end the inning. And as it turns out, it didn't matter whether you sent him to third or not on that previous play. It didn't matter. He wouldn't have scored either way. So we go to the bottom of the 5th. Need a new pitcher for the Mets because Gil Martin obviously is injured and had to be removed. So let's see who's coming up for Seattle. We have Cano, Cruz, and Seager. But you don't want to use your only other lefty, so I think they're going to go to somebody else in the bullpen. They will turn to Hansel Robles. So Robles is into the ball game for the Mets. See what he can do. And he's going to be facing Cano, Cruz, and Seager. The heart of the Seattle lineup. Gil Martin goes 2 innings. And now Robles is on. 5-7, and that's a 1-4 double, and that's a 3. How do you like that? A double for Robinson Cano. 5-20 would have been out. A 1-4 though was a double, and that's what he found. So Robbie Cano, a leadoff double, and maybe that's just the kind of night it's going to be for the Mets. I don't know, or day, depending on when you're watching this. I'm recording it at night, but who knows when you're going to watch it. Probably uploaded. I'm recording it Friday night, so I'm probably going to upload it Saturday morning. But you may not watch it again until Saturday night. Who knows? There's Cruz. 5-7. Cano, runner at second not being held. 5-7 is a walk. And that's going to put runners at first and second with nobody out. It does set up a double play, but you're playing with fire, putting all these runners on. And here is Seager. And now Addison Reed, a right-hander, is loosening in the Mets bullpen as well. 5-6, and that's a strikeout. A huge one for Robles. Almost got that 5-7 again, but 5-6 is a strikeout. Big strikeout there. Now a double play does get you out of the inning. And Logan Morrison is their batter. Not really a double play hitter, though. He's mostly a fly ball guy. 1-2, but he's hit by the pitch. Don't know if that's retaliation for the hit by pitch previously where they hit Kadire. I don't know if Robles is. I wouldn't think down 4-1 you'd be doing retaliation. I think this pitch just got away from him. So the bases are now loaded for Mark Trumbo. Big power hitting Mark Trumbo. Infield. Trumbo is a good ground ball double play chance, so they're going to play the infield back for the double play. 2-8, and he struck him out, so he didn't need the double play right there. He got the strikeout, but now there's 2 outs and Brad Miller, the batter. Infield can go back to normal, but Robles still has to get Brad Miller out to keep the Mets in the ballgame. Better be nice to avoid column 1 if you're the Mets. He did. 4-9, struck him out. So Robles comes back with 2 strikeouts to get out of the mess and keep Seattle off the board and keep the Mets in the ball game. So 5 innings in the books. It's still 4-1 Seattle. They leave them loaded. See if that comes back to bite them. Sometimes that does do that. Here's Iwakuma starting the 6th inning. That is his point of weakness, but he has only given up 1 run so far, so at least at this point he's in good shape. Coming up for the Mets, it'll be Murphy, Conforto, and Cespedes. Heart of the order. It's part of the order the Mets need to do business. Although Murphy and Conforto are both 0 for 2, whereas Cespedes is 2 for 2. 4-8, and that's going to be a 1-2 single, but it's a 19, so he's going to ground it to Morrison. 1 away, and now Murphy's 0 for 3. Here is Conforto. Conforto flied to left in the 1st, grounded back to Iwakuma in the 4th. 6-10, and Iwakuma, that is his injury check, so Iwakuma could be injured. 6-10 is his injury check, but we'll do the at-bat first. 6-10 is a ground ball to second. That is out number 2. But now we need to see whether Iwakuma can continue. As Murphy is out. Back to the pitcher injury. 1-6, he's going to be okay. Anything else, he's got to be removed from the game. That's a 19, and he's going to be gone the rest of the playoffs. With that large number there, Iwakuma is gone for as long as this league continues. So Iwakuma is history. Won't really affect him much the rest of the series because he wouldn't get any more starts, but if they make it to the finals, they will need another pitcher to replace him in the rotation. And as it is right now, they need another pitcher to come in the game right now. Iwakuma could get the win, though. He went 5 2/3, only giving up 1 run. And the pitcher will have as much time as he needs to warm up. And that's going to be this guy. And I don't remember how his last name is pronounced. Michael Guape. I don't even want to remember how that's a faint attempt that probably is way off, but should have done my research and figured out how to pronounce his name. But there he is. He's in the game. His first action of the series. He did not pitch in either of the first 2 games. But with a 4-1 lead and there are 2 outs in the top of the 6th, they're going to bring him in to face Cespedes. 2-12, and that's a 1-16 home run. Kaboom! Cespedes did it again, but he would have homered no matter who he faced, so having Guape in there didn't really matter. Cespedes now 3 for 3. He's done everything for the Mets, including 2 home runs, and has cut the lead to 4-2. And definitely greeted Mr. Guape or Gipe or Guapai or Guape. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but however it's pronounced, he's not feeling too good right now. Here's Duda. 5-6, and that is a double to left field. So Mr. Guape or whatever is getting knocked around a bit, and now the bullpen for Seattle back up again, loosening. And here comes Uribe. He is the new DH since Kadire got hurt, so this is his first at bat since coming in as DH. Runner Duda at second is not being held on. 1-8, it's a fly to center to end the inning. But the run is in, and it cuts the lead to 4-2. So the Mets are back in this game. And let's see if they want to bring in Robles again. I think they might go to the bullpen for a fresher arm, because Robles had his issues. Even though he gave up no runs, he did face 6 batters, giving up a walk, a hit by pitch, and a double, although he did strike out the side. otherwise, but I think they're going to go to the bullpen for Addison Reed. So they're going to bring on Addison Reed. He was a midseason acquisition from the Diamondbacks. He will be on to pitch here in the bottom of the 6th, and he'll be facing Zunino and then the top of the order. So Zunino will get the call. 5-9, and that is a strikeout against a right-hander. So Reed starts out in fine fashion as far as the Mets are concerned with a strikeout. I'll bring up Action Jackson. And Jackson 2 for 3, a single and a double. 2-9, and he's going to fly to left. That's out number 2. So Reed trying to keep things where they are and give his team a chance to chip away at that lead some more. Here's Seth Smith. He is 1 for 2. Walked, singled, and flew to left. 3-11, and that is a fly to right. Super advance would be a split, but on advance, it's just a fly to right to end the inning. So Addison Reed, a 1-2-3, bottom of the 6th. So we go to the 7th, still 4-2. And now if you're Seattle, do you have Giappe or whatever his name is come in? I think he was so shaky, they're going to pull him out. He's going to go a third of an inning, giving up the run. And they will go to the pen again. And let's see who's coming up for the Mets. It'll be d'Arnaud, Flores, and Johnson, 2 righties and a lefty. So let's see how they want to play this. They will go with Wilhelmsen. So Wilhelmsen is on, a right-hander, and he'll be facing Travis d'Arnaud to lead things off. Third pitcher used by the Mariners. 1-7 for d'Arnaud. He's going to fly to left, 1 away. So d'Arnaud is out of there. Brings up Wilmer Flores. Mets don't have a whole lot on the bench. And that bench just got weaker with Kadyr's injury, so they're really going to the bottom of the barrel. Probably Eric Campbell is going to be who they pull in there, but we'll see. But right now, all they have is Lagares, Plawecki, and Tejada. You're thinking of pinch hitting. 2-9, it's a ground ball to short, and Wilmer Flores is out of there. 2 down for Kelly Johnson. As Wilhelmsen is looking for a clean 7th inning. 2 up and 2 down so far. 1-5, and that's a walk. So there goes the 2 up. There goes the clean inning because it's a 2-out walk to Kelly Johnson. Flips the order over to Granderson. Now with 1 swing of the bat, Granderson can tie the game. Now what do you do here? Granderson's got a better card against righties. So I think they're going to make the move to the bullpen and go for a lefty. They're going to pull him out and go to Joe Beimel. Left-hander Joe Beimel, lefty specialist, will be on for the Mariners. And his job is simply to get Curtis Granderson out. That's about the extent of it. So Wilhelmsen goes 2/3 of an inning. And the runner on first is his responsibility. Now it's a lefty-on-lefty matchup with Curtis Granderson. Runner at first, Kelly Johnson's an E-stealer. He will not be helped. Beimel 3-8 to Granderson, and that is a strikeout. So Beimel does the job and gets the Mariners out of the rest of the inning. That's going to be the only batter he's going to face. He's a one-trick pony, and that's it. He did his trick, and that's it. So he goes back to the stables. And now we go to the bottom of the 7th. 7th inning stretch time, but I'm not going to stretch. I'm going to keep going without hesitation. Cano, Cruz, and Seager. So they got 2 out of 3 lefties. So their other left-hander, Alex Torres, will be coming in for the Mets, as they will look to match up lefty on lefty on several of these at-bats. Starting out with Robinson Cano. Cano, Cruz, and Seager. Bottom of the 7th, 4-2 Mariners. Mets trying to hold the fort. 2-3 against the lefty is a fly to left. 1 away. So Cano is retired. Brings up Nelson Cruz, who has been nothing but a pain in their butt. A 3-run homer in the first, a double in the in the third, and a walk in the 5th. They have to be really careful. He's loaded in column 1. But they got column 3 instead. 3-9 against the lefty. It's still be a single, so they can't get Cruz out. He is 3 for 3. Is a triple away from the cycle, although I don't think he even has. Well, he's got a small chance to get a triple here, but I don't see any way that he can get a cycle, because that's the only place he can get a triple, unless he manages somehow to get off a pitcher card. So the cycle definitely not likely, but 3 for 3 nonetheless, plus a walk. So here's Kyle Seager. Infield at double play depth. Cruz not being held. 1-3, and that's a ground ball first base C. That will advance the runner. As all Morrison could do was flip. All Duda could do was flip to Torres for out number 2. That brings up Logan Morrison, another lefty on lefty matchup, with 2 outs and a runner at second. Torres 2-7. That's a pop out to second. That's going to end the inning. So the Mariners get nothing. Torres was able to hold the fort. And that's it for Torres, I think. Or he might actually come back in. He's got a fatigue rating of 2, but they just lost their left-hander Gilmore to injury. So I think want to make sure that Torres is available tomorrow, or in game 4, whenever that's played. But in theory, it would be the next day. So he's going to come out. He will do his 1 inning, and that is it. So we go to the top of the 8th, and now Seattle. Bimel did his 1/3 of an inning, so now they need another pitcher here in the 8th. Due up for the Mets, it'll be Murphy, Conforto, and Cespedes, a couple of lefties. So they will go with Charlie Furbush. Furbush, the lefty, will be coming on. And he'll be facing Murphy, Conforto, and Cespedes. I'm sorry, that's it. Murphy, Conforto, and Cespedes. And Cespedes is one you really got to worry about if you're Seattle. He's got 2 home runs. 3 for 3 with 2 homers. Murphy, 5-11, and that's a pop out to second base, 1 away. Cano hauls it in, 1 down. And that will send us to Conforto. 6-12. Let's see if that's an injury to Furbush. It's very possible. The pitchers are hitting the injury checks big time today. Seattle, Furbush. No, he's actually a 6-7 for injury. So 6-12, he avoids it. It's a line out to first. Morrison grabs it for out number 2, but he's a 6-7 for an injury check. So very much better odds to get injured, actually, than on the 6-12, obviously. So here's Cespedes with 2 outs and a base is clear. They're going to let Furbush pitch to him. 5-12 against a righty. He lines it to first, and Morrison is Johnny on the spot again. And that's going to end the inning. So Furbush does his job, pitches the 1 inning. Sets it up for their closer, Carson Smith, in the 9th. Assuming it stays a 2-run game and doesn't get out of hand, it would still be a save situation. Coming up for the Mets, they will bring on a right-hander out of the bullpen. They've already used Reed. It's going to be Tyler Clippard. So Tyler Clippard will be on to pitch for the Mets. Clippard is on. Actually, no, it will not be Clippard. You know what? They're going to do Familia. Because he could still, even if he only pitches 1 inning now, he can still come back and pitch in game 4. So you might as well go with your best and try to keep the score where it is. So it will be Familia, not Clippard. Change right there at the last minute. Last minute decisions there by Terry Collins. He says, I'm going with the best I got. I'm not going to screw around. Trumbo is your batter, the designated hitter, number 8 hitter. Unless they wanted to use somebody off the bench. Trumbo is 1 for 3. Do they use anybody off the bench or do they stick with what they got? I think they're going to stick with Trumbo. Familia to Trumbo, 2-7, and that's a strikeout. Trumbo is out of there, 1 away. 6th pitcher used by the Mets to cover 8 innings. Here's Brad Miller. Of course, when your pitcher is ineffective like Colon was, that's what happens. 6-12. Let's see if that's an injury check on Familia. That's the one thing I forgot about by using him, is it puts him in danger of an injury. So maybe that was a bonehead play on my part. New York, 6-12 for Familia. Actually, he's a 0, so he cannot be hurt. So Familia has no injury rating, so he is safe. So it was not a gamble because he couldn't be hurt. But he is hurt by giving up a walk to Brad Miller. So he's not physically hurt, but maybe emotionally hurt with that walk. Miller's a B stealer. They will have to hold him on. If they don't hold him on, he gets a free run at stealing second base and gets in scoring position. So lots of bad things can happen there. Here's Zunino. Now, do they pinch hit for Zunino? And they could use Sucre in the bottom of the 9th. Zunino 0 for 3. They're going to make the move to pinch hitter in this situation. So Zunino is gone. They will go to their bench. And they will bring on Ketel Marte. And then Jesus Sucre would do the catching. So Sucre is going to catch. And Marte is going to pinch hit. Switch hitting Ketel Marte, with Sucre batting in the number 9 position going forward and doing the catching. Sucre's actually got a better arm, -3 arm, so maybe a little bit better defensive catcher than Zunino anyway. But they're going for some offense right here to try to put the game away. Ketel Marte, the pinch hitter, with 1 on and 1 out. Familia has to bear down. 1-4, and that's a fly to left. Lots of hits in column 1, but he found a fly to left. That is out number 2. And back to the top of the order for Action Jackson. Austin Jackson. He's 2 for 4. Single, double, line to second, and flew to left. Familia 4-8, and that's a strikeout. He's not tired, so the strikeout is good. And Familia pitches a solid 8th, just giving up a walk, but getting a slight scare about injury, but he's not really eligible for injury, so no worries there. We go to the top of the 9th, last chance for the Mets, and they'll have to do it against the Seattle Mariner closer, Carson Smith, who did have 13 saves on the season, 2-5, 2.31 ERA in the 2015 season. He took over as closer once they traded Fernando Rodney. So Carson Smith will be the 6th pitcher used by the Mariners. And he'll be facing Duda, Uribe, and d'Arnaud. Those are the scheduled hitters. And I don't see much of anybody on the Mets bench that's better, so that's who we're going to stick with. Duda, Uribe, and d'Arnaud. Top of the 9th, 4-2. Mariners. Smith, 5-7, and that's against against a righty it would have been a strikeout, but Duda's a lefty. That's a 1-11 double. That's a 4. Lucas Duda cranks a leadoff double. Lucas Duda with a leadoff double. And now the tying run will come to the plate in Juan Uribe. And Uribe has some pop. Uribe has a little bit of pop in column 3. Although Carson Smith much tougher against the righties. 5-7 again. This one against the right-hander, though, is a strikeout. So this time against the right-hander, it pays off. Strikes out Uribe. Brings up Travis d'Arnaud. There are no lefties on the bench for the Mets to bring in. try to work against that split for Carson Smith, but the way it is, Duda is an easy, not a very good runner, so he is not being held on second base. 6-6 for Carson Smith against Darno. That's a walk. And now that puts the tying runs on base. Go-ahead run is now at the plate in Wilmer Flores. Now, do you pinch hit for Flores is the question. He was a 263 hitter on the season with 16 home runs, so I think you got to let him hit here. He is 1 for 3 on the evening. So Wilmer Flores, chance to make some noise here against Carson Smith. 3-8, and he pops it up to short. Infield fly roll, 2 down. And now we're down to Kelly Johnson as the last chance for the Mets. He is left-handed, so that does, if it gets off Carson Smith's card, will be an advantage. Kelly Johnson, not a bad hitter on his own, 265 in the 2015 season. But last chance for the Mets, 2 down, tying runs at first and second. Carson Smith trying to save it for Iwakuma. 3-4, and that is a strikeout. All those hits in column 3, he found a 3-4 strikeout. The ball game is over, and Seattle makes those 4 runs they got in the first 2 innings stand up. Player of the game is Nelson Cruz. 3 for 3, a home run, a double, a walk, and a single. Drove in all 3 runs. His 3-run homer in the first was the difference in the game. So an easy choice for player of the game. The Mariners win it by the score of 4-2. The save will go to Smith, the win to Iwakuma, and the loss to Bartolo Colon. And now the Mets, backs against the wall, down 2-1. They will have Noah Syndergaard going for him in Game 4 against James Paxton. So the pitching matchup, at least on paper, would seem to favor the Mets, which they will need. But really, I think the pressure's still on Seattle, because if they lose, then you go back to New York and have to face Jacob deGrom. Not a pleasant opportunity there. And actually, either team, if it gets to Game 5, is going to be a disadvantage, because they will not have the number 1 starter for the first game of the finals, because they will have to go to the second starter, because the first starter would have pitched in Game 5. But we'll see how it all plays out. It could be that Cleveland and Houston go 5 games, and that would take away their number 1 starters as well. So anything can happen. And I'm doing a theoretical 2-game rest between the last game of the playoffs in the semis and the start of the finals. But still, if the pitcher pitches in Game 5, he's not going to be rested enough for Game 1. That's just not going to happen. And the finals are another Game 5 series. I just really don't want to go 7 games. So it's going to be a 5-game series for the finals of whoever makes it. And after 3 games on each side of the series, the lower seeded teams are ahead 2-1. Number 3 Seattle is ahead of number 2 New York 2-1. And the number 4 seed Astros are ahead of the Indians, number 1 seed, by 2-1. Next video will be Game 4 in the other semifinal, which is going to fit Cleveland in Houston, trying to avoid elimination, and they will turn to Trevor Bauer to do it. And the Astros will turn to the guy they picked up. Or I don't know if he went to the A's later or they already had him from the A's. I'm not really sure what the transaction on that was, but I think he was one of the people that talked about the trash cans or whatever. That being right-handed pitcher. If I can find him here. Where are you? Mike Fiers is who I was trying to think of. Mike Fiers. So it's going to be Mike Fiers against Trevor Bauer in Game 4 in Houston. That's going to be the next video. Probably will post on either Sunday or Monday. This video should post on Saturday afternoon sometime. So that's it from here. Hope you enjoyed that presentation of Strat-O-Matic Demolition League. You saw a bunch of injuries, so it looked like a demolition. But that's the way it goes. And the Mets, of course, will have to replace Michael Kadire and Sean Gilmartin on their roster. So I'll have to find 2 other players that can take those roster spots to start Game 4. And whoever takes the place of Martin, at least I'll give him a fresh arm in the bullpen as well. So until next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you all down the road.